It was a chilly morning in the summer of 1940. The Englishman, William "Will" Harper, stood on the shore of Dover, gazing across the English Channel, which sparkled under the early sunlight. On the other side of the water, a distant enemy was planning its invasion. The world had changed overnight, and Germany's war machine, led by the brutal and determined Adolf Hitler, had swept through Europe, leaving devastation in its wake. The Battle of Britain had begun in July 1940. The Luftwaffe launched relentless air raids, hoping to break the RAF's defences. Will was part of that defence, flying sorties in his Spitfire, cutting through the skies like a razor. Each day was a battle of attrition. The Germans were efficient, well-equipped and relentless, but the RAF had something the Nazis hadn't accounted for: a fierce spirit, a determination that would not bend. As the days passed, the German strategy faltered. The Luftwaffe's tactics, though initially effective, began to show cracks. They underestimated the radar systems Britain had in place, which helped detect enemy aircraft before they reached key targets. The German bombers and fighters were also spread too thin, and the RAF pilots, like Will, were wearing them down, one dogfight at a time. One fateful day, Will was flying high above the southern coast of England, narrowly avoiding a deadly collision with a German Messerschmitt Bf 109. The sound of gunfire echoed in his headset as he twisted the controls, diving down sharply to avoid a fatal hit. Below him, the English countryside was a blur, but up above, the skies were filled with explosions and flashes of light. The turning point came when Hitler made a fatal mistake. Instead of continuing to target RAF airfields and radar stations, the Germans began to focus on bombing London. This shift in strategy gave the RAF a critical respite, allowing them to regroup and rebuild. The Luftwaffe's losses mounted, and the psychological effect of the relentless British resistance began to take its toll on the German air crews. By September, it was clear Operation Sea Lion was not going to succeed. The Luftwaffe had failed to defeat the RAF, and Hitler's dream of an invasion of Britain began to crumble. With no air superiority, the Germans could not risk sending their invasion forces across the Channel, knowing that Britain's air defences would tear them apart before they even landed. For Will and his comrades, this was a victory, the first major one for the Allies. The Battle of Britain had proven that, no matter how powerful the enemy seemed, the spirit of the British people, combined with the bravery of the RAF, could not be broken. Hitler, frustrated and defeated in the skies, was forced to abandon his plans for invasion. As Will landed his Spitfire back at base, he felt a rush of pride. The Germans had not won. Britain would stand, defiant and unyielding, and the shadow of Nazi tyranny would not cross its shores, at least not yet. Thus, the Nazis abandoned their invasion plans because of the failure to achieve air superiority and the courage of the British people and their military. This dramatic shift in the war's tide marked the first major defeat for Hitler's forces and turned the tide of World War II in favour of the Allies.